Hi everybody. Let me read you something which is Zoroastrian thought or little prayer, as I am going to explore the theme of worrying and praying, surviving, living, enduring, accepting, not accepting. So let me read that Zoroastrian little thought. We pray to God to eradicate all the misery in the world, that understanding triumph over ignorance, that generosity triumph over indifference, that trust triumph over contempt, and that truth triumph over falsehood. It's a lovely little quote, and now I can take my glasses away. So it's a time of life, you see, when glasses are necessary, as it would be not possible not to read. So I thought I will share with you my thoughts on worrying and praying. And in English, we have this fantastic saying, if you pray, why worry? And if you worry, why pray? You probably will tell me, what a chick, Maya, what a chick, you know. It's a bloody difficult situation out there. It's coronavirus. We have to all stay at home. But sometimes I think that we have to kind of use our reasons. The governments own us the truth. And do they say the truth? You know, occasionally they tell us, yes, the people who are vulnerable, elderly, that would include me, not so well people, and all the rest, better to stay locked up. The youngsters have to be a bit more careful, keep the distance, and pray to God, be wise that they don't sneeze on the ones who are walking in a park or little square. But coming back to the if you pray, why worry, if you worry, why pray, I believe that many of us maybe do not understand the sense of that saying, because lots of us believe that praying might be just saying rosary, as I am a Catholic, or go to church, or meditate. Sometimes I think that lots and lots of very narcissistic people go to ashram and meditate because they feel terribly special, you see. They think that they are doing good in the world. And as we live in a time of a complete new age madness and addiction, maybe this form of praying was not as useful, because praying have to be connected to attention, intention, surrender, and activity. Why do I use those four words? You can pray as a child, just in case, you know, to ward off misery or anxiety. But if you really pray, as the saying goes, why worry? And that probably applies to this situation, because we must, what we cannot, you know, change, we must endure it. Endure it is a very powerful word. It doesn't mean put up with it. It means actively be involved in praying, being conscious of it. And I believe, you see, that praying, a meditative way of living, is active. It's never ever passive situation. The people who are now giving food to nurses, and the person who understood active praying and gave those people £200,000 did a very good action of praying. And look how much money there is in the world. How many millionaires and billionaires and locking themselves up in their castles. European government who never ever helped Italy. So many people who probably say, oh, we pray it pass. But do they really pray? They worry, you see. So we come back to worry. If you pray, why worry? If you worry, why pray? Worrying about it means you're just surviving. And surviving Some people survive well, you know. Some people survive through addiction, through using, through fixing. Some people survive through, you know, all the time saying that they are really, truly don't know what to do. Some people survive because they're hysterical, because they force you to get attention. There will be lots and lots of surviving going on, and maybe not enough praying. And praying means, in a way, lack of worries. There's a paradox in it. One would say to me, you know, you really don't know what you're talking about. But I do, because lack of worries means some kind of a spiritual surrender, not only to the power higher than ourselves, but surrender to reality. And it involves consciousness. It involves maybe going out of your comfort zone. That would be praying. So many youngsters, for instance, who talk to me, ask me, Maya, what shall I do? How can I pray actively? I say, you know, think about it, because thinking is very important and logic in this instance. What you can do to help nurses. And one of my delightful young ladies said, I know what I will do. I know how to use sewing machine. I will make masks. Fantastic form of praying. And then I would also make hats for nurses. I was delighted. She's not particularly churchgoer, but this young lady has got a moment of consciousness, and active praying is happening. So we will probably see among us lots of worrying and lots of surviving. And because we do that, we probably will be doing a lot of damage to each other. Because, you know, it's wonderful and pray to God that all our national health workers are blessed and strengthened and helped and appreciated by us. But also, by surviving, we need to remember that we can do more damage than it's necessary. That would apply to home life. That would apply to our approach to each other. And I can see that immediately, on the streets, even with a few people. Sometimes I can see how very little praying is going on. Everybody is completely and utterly locked up in their time. Free time, they think sometimes. Maybe they go to use the good weather in their little gardens. Maybe they will be, enjoying cleaning the houses, enjoying quarreling or not quarreling with husbands and wives. But if we are to call for some kind of reflective modality of living, which would help us to change our consciousness, that might be not sufficient. That's only surviving. And living well is a different game, because living well needs active praying, needs consciousness. And to live well means that you always love in a way which involves the other. And maybe it's easier for us to see, on the national level, there's lots of going on, good and bad. But I'm just meditating what we do on the personal level. Personal level, it's in a way much more difficult to achieve, because it's easier to go to sloth. It's easier to give up. It's easier to collapse. It's easier to melt away. People ask me, Maya, is it okay if I take time and do nothing? Well, for somebody who is a compulsive achiever, workaholic, compulsive helper, and compulsive warrior, that would be probably praying, doing nothing, because that person is giving herself or himself permission to actually come to terms with themselves, maybe reflect a bit. It'll be terrifying ordeal. For somebody lazy, for somebody who is prone to histrionics, hysteria, and protecting themselves through abandoning the sheep, going to bed and staying doing nothing would be precisely the opposite to praying. because that would be surviving by what they know the best. Surviving, in other words, is an unconscious activity. It doesn't need to think about it. We just do it because that's what we did since we were little. Living well, surrendering, praying, and not worrying doesn't mean that we are not concerned. But not worrying, it's a conscious activity. So I often wonder how much successfully we can live well in the time where we actually are not that well, or things are not that well among us. Well, I tell you what, we can, if we choose to do so. I always give example of my neighbors who are a group of young women who do nothing of a prayer. They do a lot. You can be very active, you see, and not at all conscious. And you can sit in your chair and really be actively praying, meditating, and concentrating on what would you do when you get up from that chair. So you see, if you worry, why pray? And if you pray, why worry? It is not such an easy subject, because of course it will demand some kind of being yourself. And remember, as Kipling said, if you want to be yourself, be prepared to be hated. So maybe, just maybe, you will say, do you know, I'll go out because I just cooked a soup and I'm going out right now because my neighbor, maybe 3 houses away or 2 streets away, needs that soup. So you would not just dive under the duvet and say, oh my goodness gracious me, I cannot possibly do that, because that is giving up. That's not praying. So you see, it takes a courage to love, to pray, to surrender. Otherwise, we all just stay worrying. And worrying it weakens our immune system. Because trust me, as a therapist, and biochemists and geneticists and doctors will tell you that if you're harmonious, if you surrender, if you really pray, if you're really kind, your immune system will be healthier. And in this business of coronavirus, I think we all need to pay attention to our immune system, you see, because it is important. It's not only taking pills, which might be just about surviving and not living well, but it's about composure, our attitudes to ourselves, to life, to the situation. Are we really, truly paying attention what's going on? And maybe switch the TV off because you're bombarded every 5 minutes about the drama of coronavirus. Yes, it is difficult, but try not to kill yourself off by worrying, and it's already serious enough. So let's say serenity prayer, as it is very, very beautiful prayer, and it goes together with if you pray, why worry? If you worry, why pray? God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Bye for now.